This November, leaders from around the world are gathering in Glasgow, Scotland for the COP26 International Climate Talks. COP means Conference of the Parties. They are talks brokered by the United Nations to bring countries together to deal with the climate crisis.
You know, this moment demands urgency. Good ideas and good intentions aren't good enough.
The hope is that world leaders will agree on concrete plans for how to reach net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2050. And if all this sounds familiar, well, it's because they've tried before.
This is a very long process, will take decades.
We will go forward and join consensus in this today.
Now must be our moment for action.
The world is on a catastrophic pathway to 2.7 degrees of heating.
The first Climate COP summit took place in Berlin in 1995, and representatives from more than 170 states or territories attended. 2 years later, progress. The parties at COP3 in Japan agreed to the Kyoto Protocol, in which 37 industrialized states or territories were legally bound to start reducing their emissions. But the biggest polluter at the time, the United States, refused to ratify the agreement because it didn't oblige developing nations, like China, to cut emissions. In the following years, climate slid on and off the global agenda. After 9/11, the world's attention shifted to fighting international terrorism. Climate issues took a back seat. And all the while, greenhouse gas emissions continued to soar, and without the United States and China on board, the Kyoto Protocol began to crumble. Successive climate summits produced few results. COP15 in Copenhagen in 2009 was highly anticipated, but fell short.
It's not acceptable. It's definitely not acceptable. It's disappointing.
Then at COP21 in Paris, there was a breakthrough. In 2015, the Paris Agreement was adopted by more than 190 parties, including the US and China, and effectively replaced Kyoto. Its ambition was to limit global warming to well below 2, but preferably 1.5 degrees Celsius, above pre-industrial levels. But the watchdog Climate Action Tracker shows that all major economies are off track to meeting their obligations to contain temperature rise. And as governments lagged in fulfilling their pledges, a new wave of youth-led environmental activism was born.
All you can talk about is money and fairy tales of eternal economic growth. How dare you!
And then in 2020,
it is time to put Youngstown, Ohio, Detroit, Michigan, and Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania before Paris, France.
Then US President Donald Trump withdrew the United States from the Paris Agreement, only for his successor, President Biden, to bring the US back into it. Scientists warn that this decade will be crucial for the planet's future, and COP26 has become a pivotal moment to avoid climate catastrophe, and the pressure is rising on world leaders to meet it.